Hello, I'm back on YouTube after 2 years and I thought it's time to do another video after such a long time. And in this video I want to talk about and show you how I built this cool base for the catapult troll from the Middle-earth strategy battle game. The whole building process and the painting, of course, and everything what I've done here. So I hope you enjoy the video. I hope I will now get the chance and have the time to continue with more videos here on YouTube for you guys. And if you like to support me, feel free to follow the channel. That helps me and gives me motivation to do more videos like this. Enough of talking and intro stuff. Let's jump into it, have fun, enjoy. The first thing I did was figure out what I wanted underneath the base. It became pretty clear to me early on that I wanted some kind of rocky formation, and since the troll has a very specific pose with a strong focus on the head and both arms stretched straight forward, I came up with the idea of creating a gap between two rock formations at the front. The gap opens up slightly toward the center, leading the viewer's eye directly toward the troll. The idea was that the troll would be bracing itself against the rocks with both hands, one on each side. This naturally draws even more attention to the model and keeps the focus centered on the troll's head and face. To start, I selected a few pieces of XPS foam and marked them out before roughly cutting them to shape with a utility knife. I wanted the rocks to have enough height to create visual impact and match the scale of the troll, but not so much that they overwhelmed the model. At the same time, I wanted the terrain to gradually slope down toward the main base. Once I had the first large piece cut, I spent some time experimenting with the size of the gap between the rocks. I tried different shapes and arrangements, repeatedly placing them on the base and adjusting them until everything felt balanced. I kept refining the layout until I was happy with it. And as you can see, the final arrangement ended up looking very close to this initial setup. At that point, the back of the base still felt a little empty. There were open areas that needed to be addressed. My goal was for the Scenic elements to be framed by a clean border around the entire base, creating more of a display piece appearance. I wanted the black edge of the plinth to remain visible and help guide the viewer's attention toward the front and center of the model. To achieve that, I added another piece around the rear section. After that, I started carving the front rock sections using the utility knife. I cut irregular shapes and rough surfaces into the foam to create a natural rock texture. XPS foam is fairly soft, so it's easy to work with. I made a series of cuts and even tore out small chunks here and there to avoid anything looking too clean or geometric. Real rocks are messy and uneven, so I wanted to capture that look. I repeated the same process on the left side, trying to maintain the overall silhouette while adding variation and texture. Once both rock sections were finished, I assembled everything again and placed the troll on top to check the positioning. I wanted the hands to sit close to the edges of the rocks, emphasizing the feeling that the troll is supporting itself on the cliff edge. That helped reinforce the sense of depth and made the pose feel more dynamic. And after cleaning up some of the foam debris, which can get absolutely everywhere, I moved on to gluing everything down. I used regular wood glue and applied a generous coat across the base with a large flat brush. Starting with the rear section, I placed each foam piece onto the marked positions and pressed them firmly into place. Finally, I attached the main rock sections and did one last test fit with the troll to make sure everything lined up correctly. For ground texture, I used the Forge of Doom stone mix from Ground Cover. I scattered it across the lower section of the base to represent loose rubble and broken rock. The scale works really well for miniature basing. I didn't completely cover the surface, just enough to create some natural variation. After that, I sprinkled a finer sand over the top to fill the gaps and add even more texture. I made sure the entire surface was covered so it could bond properly with the wood glue underneath. To keep everything secure while drying, I weighted the pieces down using a box of sand and a mug of water. After a few hours, everything had cured nicely. I shook off the excess sand and the structure was solid and firmly attached. Next, I used a hot wire foam cutter to trim away any foam extending beyond the edge of the base. I had to be careful since the plastic base itself can easily be damaged by the hot wire. I accidentally nicked it a couple of times, but thankfully nothing serious. As long as you're paying attention and don't cut too deep, it's easy enough to fix. To fill the gaps between the foam sections, I use sculpt putty from Ground Cover, which I highly recommend. It's incredibly easy to work with, especially for larger projects like this. It has a great consistency, doesn't stick excessively to your tools, and can be used straight out of the package without mixing or adding water. I pressed the putty into all the seams between the foam pieces to create one continuous surface. I also applied it around the edges where the foam had been cut, smoothing everything out to create clean and even sides. I then added more putty across the surface to introduce subtle height variations. Rather than leaving the terrain completely flat, I sculpted a few gentle mounds and depressions. This adds realism and gives the ground a much more natural appearance. While the putty was still soft, I test fitted the troll again. This allowed me to lightly press the feet and hands into the surface, creating natural contact points and ensuring the model would fit perfectly once it came time for final assembly. After letting everything dry, I traced around the hands and feet with a pencil. This gave me a clear guide for the next step, which was applying texture paste. I I used a neutral colored texture paste from AK and spread it across the entire surface. Around the marked contact points, I tried to keep the layer thinner and smoother so the troll would have solid areas to attach to later. The paste has a great consistency and spreads easily without needing any water. I applied it generously across the base, varying the texture to keep things interesting and natural. While the paste was still wet, I added more of the Forge of Doom stones, pressing some of them directly into the surface. This helped visually connect the upper and lower sections of the base to lock everything in place. I mixed a very thin solution of wood glue and water and dripped it over all the rocky debris. This ensured the stones would remain securely attached once everything dried. Add even more detail to the larger rock formations, I grabbed an actual stone from outside my studio and pressed it into the carved foam. The natural texture of the stone transferred beautifully into the foam, creating fine cracks, chips and subtle rock patterns that looked far more realistic than anything I could carve by hand. Once the texturing was finished, it was time for paint. Before moving on, I sanded the sides of the base by hand using fine sandpaper. This cleaned up the edges and gave the plinth a much more professional finish. I primed the entire base with Vallejo black primer through the airbrush. Since the putty and texture paste were both very light in color, it was easy to spot any areas I missed. I made sure to spray from multiple angles, especially underneath the scattered rocks. For the base colors, I started with AK Chocolate, spraying it across the ground rocks and lower section of the base. I applied it gradually with a smaller spray pattern, allowing natural variation to build up across the surface. To create highlights and warmth, I followed up with Vallejo Flat Earth. I focused mainly on raised areas and randomly selected spots that would benefit from extra color variation. For the rock, I switched to AK Graphite and sprayed from above at roughly a 45-degree angle. This naturally left the lower sections darker while highlighting the upper edges. I also sprayed the smaller rubble pieces to tie everything together. Next I mixed in AK Silver Grey and applied more focused highlights, concentrating mainly on the upper edges and surfaces that would catch the most light. At the painting desk, I reinforced the rocks using graphite by brush, picking out prominent surfaces and larger rubble pieces. Then I mixed ivory into the graphite and applied sharper edge highlights to create more definition and contrast. I repeat the same process on the front rock face as well, which is really one of the main focal points of the base. Because it's such an important visual element, it's even more important to push the highlights here. As you can see, I'm still working fairly loosely and not being overly precise. My main focus is on picking out the edges and especially the upper surfaces that would naturally catch the most light. So I'm concentrating on the top edges of the rock formations and the upper areas of the individual rock sections to really enhance the shape and make the details stand out. To cool down the shadows, I mixed AK Black and Deep Blue in roughly a 50-50 ratio, creating a very thin wash. I applied this mainly to the recesses, undersides and deeper cracks within the rock formation. I then use the same color as a very thin wash and apply it to a few of the upper edges of the rocks. This helps the rocks stand out more from the surrounding terrain and gives them a bit more contrast and visual separation. For the ground, I dry brushed AK Cork over the textured surface. This brought out all the fine detail and helped define the terrain around the transition areas between the rocks and soil. I blended the color slightly to create a more natural connection to increase contrast and further separate the rocks from the earth. I make sure to wipe most of the paint off the brush on a paper towel first, and then I lightly dry brush all of the brown areas and terrain elements. If I accidentally catch some of the rock sections here and there, that's not really a problem. My main goal is to pick up the brown areas and bring out the texture a little more. Along the transition where the ground meets the rocks, I also brush slightly over the edge. This helps create a smoother connection between the two elements and makes the transition between the rocks and the muddy ground feel much more natural and cohesive. I used Citadel Wildwood contrast paint, heavily thinned with water. I applied it selectively across the rubble and rock formations, creating smoother transitions and richer shadows. With the painting complete, it was time for vegetation. I used 4 different types of gamer's grass tufts, which are currently my favorite. After applying small amounts of super glue, I placed dried flowers, small bushes and grass tufts around the base, mainly between the rock formations and scattered debris. The smaller tufts were placed along the edges of the rocks to help blend the rocky and earthy areas together. Their subtle green tones added some welcome color variation without becoming too vibrant. Finally, I added a few larger bushes to the upper section of the base. Since the troll is such a large model, these bigger tufts helped reinforce the scale and made the scene feel more believable. For the final assembly, I applied super glue to the contact points and secured the troll in place. And that's the finished result. Now it's time to show the whole troll with the base, all in all, and how it works together. I hope you like it. The Scenic base really helps frame the model, and the V-shaped rock formation naturally guides the viewer's eye toward the center. From there, the gaze moves upward directly to the troll's head and face, which is exactly where I wanted the focus to be. Thank you very much for watching, guys. This was the Scenery base tutorial about the catapult troll from Middle-earth strategy battle game. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like to see more tutorials from me, I have a lot of tutorials, a lot of PDF tutorials and some short video tutorials on my Patreon. The link is in the description below. Feel free to check it out. Come in our community, the Wavecutters community. We have also a Discord channel. So if you join the Patreon, you can join the Discord channel and talk to other hobbyists in the community, in our community, show your process and get feedback from others, from beginners as well as from more advanced painters. So this is a great opportunity to get into this. And of course, I'm also offering a higher tier where you can get feedback monthly from me. For now, only written feedback. So you send me some pictures and I gave you my honest feedback and help you to get on to the next step in your miniature painting journey. So feel free to check this out. I hope I will see you in the Wavecutters community. I hope you liked the video. As I said, please leave a comment below, and if you like to support me here and you want to see more of these videos or videos like this, please follow this channel. That helps a lot. Thank you very much. Have a good one. Cheers. See you in the next one, hopefully very soon.